Hi everyone, welcome back to Plum Mashable. So today I'm going to introduce you to the Disc Power Punch and show you the project that I am working on using it. Let's go ahead and get to it. Okay, so for today's video I'm going to be introducing you to a new tool that I have got and the reason I bought it, and we're going to do something for it together. So this is the We Are Memory Keepers Disc Power Punch. I'm not a disc girl, you guys know that. But when I saw this, I was really interested in it because it's a power punch. It can punch through a lot of different stuff. And what I thought I'd do as a bit of a gift for some people is make a little flip book or a little memory book, I guess, of Charlotte and a few of the bits and pieces, like just things that happen along the way. So this is the kind of, it's the first one. I'm going to make more than one. And today we're going to decorate the cover. But it's really easy to use this. I'll just grab a bit of, so I've got this is a bit of chipboard, and this is what I've used here as well. This is just, I've got it over here. This is just Kaisercraft 12 by 12 chipboard that I've cut. All of this has been cut with the Cricut. I cut all of the white paper in here with the Cricut so that they were all exactly the same. I now have the template saved. Same thing with the covers so that I can make as many as I want. If I want to make another one, I can. I also bought a bunch of discs when I bought the Power Punch, which I bought from Washi gang, by the way. I bought them all at the same time so that I was ready. I could make as many books as I want. And the cool thing with this Power Punch is you can do 2 discs, you can do 12 discs. It doesn't really matter. So I just wanted to show you with an extra bit of chipboard that I've got here how easy this is. So number one, it's got a little way to line this up here so you can see, sort of, not see how, but you can have a guide for how much you want to punch it. So if you are making this into a planner, like if you wanted to make punch your own pages for a planner, you can easily set this up so that it's the same. I don't think it moves. I haven't seen it move, but that kind of gives you a guide that you can keep punching by. All I did with this one when I punched it was I lined it up so that the punch was on the edge. So hold on, I'll show you when I do this one. So I just lined it up so that the edge was here, and then when I punched it, I knew it was going to be that far from the edge. And then when I did the other side, I did the same thing. Now that worked because I only had 2. If I was going to have this be bigger or longer or anything, I would just sort of measure them out and space them and just punch. Really easy to do, obviously goes through cardstock without any kind of a problem. And that guide isn't in the way when you go to punch. It just sort of gets out of the way. It can punch a bunch at the same time. So just to sort of another way to show you, this is 2 bits of just regular cardboard. I'm just going to cut this. So I'm going to cut or punch 4 at once. Actually, let's do a couple. Let's see how many we can do here. We'll do a bit of an experiment. Because you guys know me, I love to experiment. So we've now got 2, 4, 6, 8 bits of cardboard. I don't think it'll go through 8. I think it'll go through 6. But I don't think it'll go through 8. But let's try. Oh! Okay, I had to do that really hard. But that went through really, really well. They're nicely cut. I'll do zoom so you can see. Nicely cut. But I would recommend 6. So that was the 8. This is the 6. Don't need to pull quite as hard, and the cut is just a little bit nicer. So I'd recommend 6 if you're just going to use regular cardstock. So what I thought we'd do today, I'm going to do little pages for this along the way. You'll see this. If you want to, you have to let me know down below if you want to see me kind of do pages. The idea for this came from a memory deck. Like I sort of thought, well, a memory deck would be a really cool way to make things for my parents and for Ryan's parents that we could do, like I could make little memory decks cards and send them up. So you'd give them this at one point, like that'd be a gift for Mother's Day, their birthday, Christmas, whatever. And then you can just sort of make little cards that they can add in because it's really easy to do. So this is the first one that I have made. I'm not a big fan of it. I think the colours are pretty, I think the photo's pretty, and I just cut it from a sprocket. And this is just using a Kaisercraft collection that you'll see in a minute. But I don't really like my handwriting, so I might redo that one yet. But they're so easy to pull out. It's like, so simple, and then they just pop straight in there with the discs. The discs are plastic, so if they break, that's fine. I've got plenty of spares. I can send them some spares, but it's just so easy to do, and I just really liked the simplicity of the disc system for my parents and Ryan's grandparents. It just seemed like a much simpler way to do it. Anyway, so like I said, I cut this chipboard using the Cricut, and that way I got a really nice finish, but I didn't get, I have not put a cover on this, so I thought we'd do the cover together. I haven't tried this before, this whole technique I'm about to try, so I don't know if it's going to work 100% the way I want, but I wanted to give it a go. So I have some of this gorgeous paper here. This is the Kaisercraft Little Treasures collection. I love this yellow. I think it's a really pretty kind of, what's what I'm looking for? Gender neutral kind of look. So what I thought I'd do is cut this so that it kind of wraps this around so it doesn't get the edges, because you could just lay it flat, but I thought we'd try and do the edges. So I'm just grabbing my big paper trimmer, and we're just going to cut off the bit at the bottom. Just cut off the bit at the bottom. Whoops. There we go. And you could easily use this too. I'm actually half thinking about doing it, because you can just trim that down. I can save that and use that for another card. Then I'm just going to cut this. I want to try and save as much as I possibly can, because this is really pretty paper. I also got the 6x6 pad of this, so it's I have plenty. So I'm just going to cut that one. Oh, sorry, this one was called Sweet Dreams. I will link it down below. So I'm cutting this to be a little bit bigger than my card. And I'll let you know in a second. Like I said, I have all the measurements on the Cricut, so I don't have them out in the real world, but I'll tell you in just a second how big these are. The only thing that I have done that I think I'm regretting that I maybe wouldn't do again is I've rounded the corners. It's fine. It's really easy to just sort of, you shave off the fluffy bits with I used a craft knife, but you can use actually no, I don't use a craft knife, I use a nail file. But you can get sandpaper that's really good for that. So this is 14 centimeters wide by 10.5 centimeters high. I have rounded the corners, like I said. Not sure I would do that again, because it just makes this part a bit more difficult. So I'm going to start off by sticking this down. If I do mess this up, it's okay, because I can just make another one, so it's not a big deal. It also doesn't necessarily matter which way you put this in now, because they are exactly the same. So it doesn't matter if I put it either side, but I do know that this is that's the back side, so that's the front side. So I'm just going to put liquid glue, and I'm going to put more glue sort of around the corners and around this edge. Now I'm using liquid glue here, so I've got a little bit of time to work, and because I think it'll work out a bit stronger, but when we wrap this round, you will see I'm going to use some glue tape. It's a bit easier to do. So there you go, got that all over there. We're just going to place that then in the middle. And then comes, no, it's not the middle, but anyway. And then comes the fun part of working out how we get around these rounded corners. Now the way that I have worked it out, so I'm going to cut off a little bit of this corner on each side. Doesn't have to be perfect. So cut off a little bit of the corner. And then I'm going to cut in to the corner, and then just do like a little triangle thing around. So hold on, I'll do a zoom in a second so you can kind of see what I've done here. So it's that pattern kind of look, well not pattern, but like a starburst radiating out, I guess, kind of look. And that's when then I grab the glue tape. We're doing the corners first, we'll do the rest afterwards. So a bunch of glue tape in the corner there. You may need tweezers for this. I find tweezers actually help a little bit. I'm pulling that as tight as it will let me pull, because obviously it's paper, so there's a chance that it can tear, and we don't want it to do that. I just didn't quite pull that corner tight enough, so I'm just trying that again. go. Then we'll pull the next one. You might need to put a little bit more tape here. Pull the next one up. It will still have a bit of a messy edge. It won't be completely straight or completely flat. It'll kind of have a quilted look about it in the corners. But it ends up looking a bit like that, which I think actually looks kind of cool. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the other ones as well. I'll do one more slowly with you guys, and then the other ones I'll do a bit faster. So I do one in the middle, and then sort of a gap to around the other side, and then sort of like I guess a flat one. Actually going to cut all, actually no way. Then we put the glue tape on. I start with the center ones. I just find it a bit easier. It's also, sometimes you don't quite get close enough to the board. So I just grab my scissors. I was going to say tweezers, but that's not what they are. And just cut a little bit more. That way you don't get a torn edge. And there you go. Again, it kind of has that quilted look to it, but I kind of like it. Must have had some stuff on here. I'll clean it up in a sec. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other two corners, and I'll be right back. Once all of the corners are down, that's when we just go along and fold these top bits over. I'm again using glue tape for this, but you could use liquid glue, and then we'll come up with a middle bit here that'll cover the not so nice looking part of it. So I'm just gonna grab hold of this. I'll get the bit of chipboard that's stuck on me off. Eesh. So grab it, fold it over, pulled it as tight as I possibly could, and you've got that nice edge on it. So just doing the same thing on the other ones. You could have a bit more paper here if you wanted to, if you sort of were a bit worried about it, and this is where that quilted edge will kind of come into it. It'll look really cool. I call it quilted, I don't know if that's the right word. It looks like a folded sheet to me. That's what it kind of looks like. I've tried to keep this straight, but I'm looking at it and thinking it doesn't look as straight as I thought it would. I really hate those little marks. So I'm just going to grab my little sand eraser. Just see if I can gently rub this off. I should be able to. And there's our little card. It has stayed straight. The checks do look straight. And then I just have to find where I punch the holes. Oi, I should have done that first. Okay, so I'm just being really gentle here. This is where I love my glue tape. No, it's not that one. So what I would do for next time, I just put a little mark here on the back, just to mark where, which edge the little holes were. In fact, I'm going to do a little tricky thing. I'm just going to pull this up just a little bit. We'll cover this in a second, so you won't see any of these little mistakes where I pulled it up. Just trying to get under here without getting the chipboard. So I'm just having a look and just putting a little mark where the paper is, where the hole is. When I put the punch through, because I know I lined it up from the edge, or actually I didn't with these ones. These ones are a bit different. These ones are a little bit bigger, so they'll just be a little bit off the edge. So all I'm doing is lining this up. There's a little line on the top here. I'm hoping this works. I'm really hoping this works. You can kind of feel where the hole is, so you can kind of get an idea. but then you sort of line it up with that mark that I did. Push it all the way down so it's flat, and it'll feel easy to go through because we're only going through 2 pieces of paper there. There's not the big chipboard part. Now I'm trusting my little line here. I'm not checking it on the other side. That was a little bit harder, so I have a feeling I may have just missed, but it won't be by much. Alright. So something I learned while I was doing the quick part there was just make sure you go as far as you can with the little cut lines. And that way it'll be easy to pull up, to fold them up. Sorry, the edges was what I was talking about there. And there's our little cover. I love that edge. That actually worked out much, much better than I thought it would. I didn't think it would be quite as good as that. Yay! And then to fix up the back, you can either use the same piece of paper, or I'm actually going to use a bit of the backing piece, just because I think it's a really good colour combo, and I really like, I don't want to use a bit with the balloons, and I really like the idea of having it be a completely different piece of paper, so it's a bit of an extra on the inside. So I'm just marking roughly where I want it to be. Something else too that I've just noticed while I was looking there, I can see a couple of the little glue dots. All I'm going to do is just rub off if I can see any glue dots. Benefits of my glue tape. I'm just trying to keep that clean now. So I'll just go ahead and cut that down. Off that little pencil mark. Where did it go? There it is. I knew I put it somewhere. And then you can either do this with liquid glue or with glue tape. I don't really think it matters at this point. I'm going to stick it down with glue tape. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. Thinking about it. But I'm just going to grab a scrap bit of paper, because I really want to get on the edges, because that's the part that is most likely to come up. So if I get right on the edges, I know this will stay down. So anywhere that there's something popping up here where I sort of had to lift something, I'm just going to put a little bit more glue just to stick it down, make sure it doesn't come up underneath. Go. Go. Then we'll stick this down. Now it's going to cover up the little holes at the top, but that's okay because we can just punch through again. So I'm just rubbing along the edges, make sure that there's no little glue bits. Go. There we go. And I'll just grab my punch again because I can see this time exactly where it is. Makes it very easy to line this up. I don't know why. I just went off center there. That's alright. It's okay. Perfection is not everything. So the way I should have done this was, you can see the little hole punch thing through here. It's very difficult obviously for you guys to see, but I can see it. So I'm just lining that up. Trying to go through the hole a bit easier this time. Obviously it would have been much easier to have done all of that at once, but my silly. time I was a bit not as brave. So I can see a little bit through there that I've missed. So I've just cut that with some scissors and it's fine. So there we have, that'll sit. Best thing to do with this is not to take them on and off the rings too much for this bit of cardboard one, because it is a little bit more solid. So I'm actually going to do most of the next bit with this open. Actually, no, I'm not. I will take it off. Oops, I got glue all over my finger. But it will distort the paper just a little bit when you pull it on and off the rings. If you're careful with it, it should be fine. Alright, so let's make this sort of front bit. What I have gone ahead and done is cut a bunch of the letters. These are Finley's ABCs from Lawn Fawn. I cut them out of some white cardboard because I wanted them to have a little bit of up. And what I'm going to do is cut the rest of it. I'm going to get the 6x6 pad and I'm going to pull in this really pretty piece of green. Where's the green? There we go. I'm going to cut this. We're going to cut the letters out of this and stack them up. So this will end up being 4 pieces or 3 pieces of cardstock and a piece of paper thick. So I wanted to show you first the trick that I've got for doing this. So all I'm going to do is get out my letters. Thankfully Charlotte only has one double, which is the T. So I'm just doing the L. It doesn't have to be in a straight line here. I'm just doing it so that I make sure that I've got them all there. So obviously there would be 2 T's. We're just going to cut one for now. I grabbed my masking tape. I like this masking tape because it doesn't tend to ruin my paper, but it's also really wide, which means I can do this. Haha! And it's all over. So it's picked up those letters really, really easily. I'm then going to trim this down so I've just got the paper that I want to use. So I'm going to use this bit down the side. And there's enough room on the edge here that I can do another T. If you really wanted the if you wanted the pattern to line up, obviously you'd be a little bit more careful here. I'm not really bothered with it. It doesn't matter. This pattern is a bit too simple to really notice on such small letters. So stick them. How did I get a hair on there? That's not dog hair, that's Ashley hair. So I'm putting it down the edge. I can see through the tape, so I can make sure I've got enough room on the edge, and stuck that down. And then I'm going to run this through my die cut machine. But the cool thing about this tape is that it will hold for a while. So I ran the other ones through 3 times and it stayed solid through that whole thing. It didn't break. So it made picking it up and changing, moving, like making the word again really, really, really easy. So just grabbing the C, the H and the L, which is stuck onto my mat. And then we'll get the other ones out. I'm being really careful when I pull up this tape. More on this edge than the other edge because I still want to use this bit of paper, which it's not. It's going to prove me wrong here. It's going to say, Ashley, you told everybody that I was perfect, and I'm going to show you that you're not, that it's not. Okay. So now that I've got that up, I'm just pulling really gently because it's really just this end I need. Go. And then I just need to run the T through again. So I'm just going to save the, or grab the T and run that through really quick. Don't need to stick this down. It should just stick fine. If you are worried about it wobbling around, though, obviously grab yourself a bit of washi tape. All I'm going to do is stack these on top of the white ones that I've already got. Now I'm going to do this super quick. It does take a little while, but it's just the finished look is so worth it. So I'll just show you with the A. So you pop out the one from the die. I find this easy with liquid glue because then you've got a bit of time to work. So I just put some little dots. Whoops, too much dot. If you do get too much glue, I just sort of spread it out with the nozzle. Or wipe it off with your finger and put a bit more on. This is where tweezers are great. So we'll pick up the A, put it on top, and then I just wiggle it around with my fingers until it covers. If you wanted to, you can do a really cool offset with this. If you did like a black or grey cardboard underneath, works out really pretty. And then all I do is I put it off to the side and put it underneath a block so that it's a bit of pressure on top. So I'm going to go ahead and stick all of these together and then we'll work on that cover. Oh, sorry, one more little tip before I keep going. I'll do it while I'm talking. Less is more when it comes to the glue. You don't want to overdo these. You don't want there to be glue sticking out everywhere. So put just enough glue on it just to keep it tacky. And then when you put it underneath here, that'll help, the weight will help keep it stuck together. So it'll be a bit easier. But yeah, don't go too over the top with the glue. All my letters. I'm just going to have a look and work out what else I want to put on the front here. So there are a bunch of quotes and things on here. I really love Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, always remember how loved you are, or do you know how loved you are, either or. Now the problem with this Charlotte though, Charlotte's a very long name, so it doesn't quite fit across here. It does almost, but not quite. So we kind of have to be a little tricky. So rather than going in a straight line, which would be what I would want to do, which then we use our washi tape trick to hold these still. So I'm just showing you that if I do Charlotte straight, it's not going to quite fit. I love that the colour changes along the way, and that's sort of why I did that T down the end, because it does still fit into the pattern of the paper. So we're not quite going to fit there. Oh, I have glue all over my fingers. It's driving me bonkers. So rather than having it in a straight line, I'm just going to play with it. I need to go wash my fingers. Hold up. Alright, I didn't go and wash them. I just used a baby wipe. Much easier. You still have a little bit of hair though. So you just then kind of squish them together a little bit more by moving them up and down. So by not having them straight, I can kind of do this. So it's much easier, well, now that I've got a piece of paper that has a line on it, I'm following along with that line. I did think about just putting Charlie on here, but nobody really calls her Charlie, so I do, but I'm the only one. So I'm just lining that up, and you're going to see in a second, it's going to be now too close together. So what I'll do, once I'm happy with the way it's sitting, which I think that looks really cute. I love the T's. I think that just looks adorable. I'm just going to grab a bit of tape, so just a bit of washi tape. This time I'm using thin tape because I don't want to go over the whole thing. And I'm taking off the stick. So I'm doing that by putting it down on my glass first, pulling it up, putting it down on my pants, giving it a bit of a wipe, pulling it up, putting it on my shirt, pulling it up. Basically just trying to get as much of the stick off as I possibly can, so that when I do this and rub it on, that I don't make too much of a boo-boo. Alright, so that's where the Charlotte's going to go. We're going to have it in the middle there. And then I'm just having a look. See, the cool thing is we can then move this in a bunch of different ways to see what looks cool. I'm avoiding like heck the tops here because I don't want them to get anything on them. I'm thinking maybe, and the unfortunate thing is I'm going to have to fussy cut it out to see how it's going to look. This is where if I had got the die cuts from this collection it would have been great, but they didn't have any, so it didn't work. I'm just going to fussy cut out this balloon. I know it's going to be too big and that the Charlotte's going to be across the top. Whoops, I missed the flower. I'm not being particularly fussy. I'm not getting like in between all the little leaves or anything. What I loved about this collection was that there is definitely a boy and a girl side to this. There's definitely the pink and the blue, but the pink isn't too pink. It's just this sort of, this one's probably the pinkest of the pink. It's more of a sort of a peachy kind of colour, and I really liked that. I thought that was really cute. So this is really going to be really simple. It's just going to be, hold on, I might actually put it on the other side so that it looks, and again I'm just trying to avoid the little bits there, which I'm able to do. I'll put the Charlotte across the top there. I'll cut out a couple of these little, so there's a couple of little stars here, and if I just cut out a couple of those, I'm just trying to avoid breaking the flowers and stuff that are on here because they are very pretty. Oh, actually, I will do the stars, but I will also do a couple of little pearls. I wanted to play around with using pearls or diamonds or glitter or whatever. I think that's the part about this little book that I'm looking forward to. Very much like my memory decks, it gives me the option to kind of use whatever I like. I can use like pattern paper like this one and die cuts, or I can use stamps and I can stamp and colour. There's really no limit to what I can do in these little books, and it really just comes down to what I want to put on the page. So like the one I did with that first picture of Charlotte and me, that one could have been any colour I liked. I picked the pink, but it could have been anything. And I think that's where I like it. I like the fact that these pages can be anything. That first little one was really hard, but this big one's actually kind of simple. This is where I highly suggest a really good pair of scissors, because they do make it so much easier. So I've got a couple of little stars there. And if I can find the pearls, there they are. I got these little self-adhesive pearls when I bought this, so I might put a couple of them on there as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick all of this down. Start off with the gorgeous die cut. I'm just using liquid glue now just so that I've got a bit of time to move it if I need to. I know I still can with my glue tape, but it's really cool too, this particular piece of paper. Some of the highlights on here have some dimension to them, so I'm trying to remember what it's called. Gloss. It's just got a gloss to it. That wasn't the word I was looking for, but that'll do. And then I'm just going to put a couple of these stars down. I'm mainly doing this to hide where I have some blemishes on the page. So I'm putting that one down first because I know that one has to stay there. And then the other two I'll put down afterwards. And then we'll just do the Charlotte all at the same time. So just glue on the back of all of them. If you're careful and you just tap the top to this, it won't move, and it makes sticking it down really easy. Dots work really well here. I'm sure you guys have seen me do this before. Again, going with that less is more, and just lining that up, making it straight. This is where I put that block back on top of it for a little bit, just to let it dry. Could do the other bunny with the balloons. I don't think it'll work. I might cut just while that's drying, I'm just going to go ahead and fussy cut out a couple more of these images. I'm going to speed through it so you guys don't have to watch. Then we'll just see if maybe I can fit a few more of these on here. Alright, so I've gone ahead and cut out 3 of these little balloons. I think they look really cute just sort of floating along there, and they fill that space up. I took the little star off. It kind of was in the way, so I took that off. Now to do this, rather than putting these with glue or glue tape, which is a bit of a pain, because these are a little bit small, I'm going to grab my Xyron sticker maker. I haven't used this in forever, so I'm being very careful because I don't actually remember the last time I used this. So I'm putting, you put the little sticker thing you want to turn into a sticker on the edge, and then you place the item that you want in there and then pull. Now the biggest thing I suggest is make sure you don't have them overlapping, because when you have them overlapping sometimes they don't get enough sticker, as in get enough stick to them. And then little things like these little stars, put them in with tweezers. That way you know they're going to stay the right side up. That's the biggest thing, and you know they're going to get in there. The big one. So you see here when I pulled that star up, I have made a bit of a mess, but we'll be able to fix that up with the, see, I didn't get that all the way in there, and you tend to waste some. Okay, so I'm going to put the blue one in the middle, so you just give it a good rub, and then you pull off the paper, the sticky bit. If you've got fingernails, that is much easier. Okay, so see I wasted a bit there where I didn't get it in, but that's okay. Then you pull it up and it's just like a sticker, so it makes it really, really easy to stick this down. I'm still going to use tweezers because I want it to go in a very specific spot so it covers up my little mistake. So I'm putting that down. It's got a bit of give to it, so you don't have to be 100% perfect. I'm actually going to pull that down a little bit. There we go. And I'll just cut off the excess in a second. Go. Now the pink balloon was right on the edge of the page, so it's got a flat edge, so I'm going to do that right up against the edge there. I'm just rubbing away any of the adhesive now so that it doesn't sort of get stuck there for too long. And then this little sort of cleary coloured, not clear, pale coloured one, I'm actually going to stick it underneath some of the letters so the edges aren't quite stuck down, which is good because it means I can do this. There we go. And that way it looks like the balloon was actually there first. So I'm just going to cut off the excess, that blue balloon. There we go. Put down those little stars. So just anywhere I want to put them. And I'm going to put a couple of those little curls on here as well. I'm sticking with the really, really small ones. These have adhesive on the back already, so you don't have to worry too much about them. But I'm staying with the small ones. I'm just going to put them just a couple around the place. I'm still learning sort of placement. I've never really played with these kind of gem things before, so I'm never quite sure if I'm putting them in the right place. I do tend to stick to the rule of odds, so I'm either going to do 3 or 5, so in this case I'm going to do 5, because odds tend to look a little bit more pleasing to the eye. So I'm just stopping and having a look at that and going, right, where does it still need one? I think it needs it down the bottom. I'm also trying not to go overboard, because you don't want to go, oh, I dropped a star on there. Where did that come really gently, just pulling up that washi tape. And there you have my little cover. Now what also would be really cool, and probably what I'll do on one of the others, or at least on one of the other pages, is actually write hello, so it says hello Charlotte instead of just Charlotte. Something about that doesn't quite look right, but that's right. I'm not going to play with it. I feel like I'll do too much to it if I do. Hold on. Okay, I'm just doing one more little thing. I'm not going to get the sticker maker out for that. I'm just going to, it's actually the style that broke. I wondered why I had a spare. Just something there. Now it looks good. I don't know why that fourth one somehow makes it look good, but it does. Yeah, the Hello Charlotte would look really cool, or Hello Baby. That might be one of the other ones I do. I've got a bunch of other pictures all printed out here, ready to go to add to my little book. So like I said, if you want to see other pages along the way, you'll definitely see them on Instagram because I'll be putting them up there. But if you want to see me make them on camera, they obviously won't be quite as long as this one. Please let me know. I don't know where the line is with baby stuff because I don't want to go over the top. But this whole project, the whole flip book kind of thing, really great for baby, obviously, but you could do this for anything. You could do it for a wedding, you could do it for a holiday, and you could do it on any size. So I picked that 10 by 14. I think that's how about 10.5 by 14. I picked that because I thought that was a really good size, but you can do this any size you like. You can do them horizontal, so you could do it this way, or you could do it vertically. It really doesn't matter. Oh, that's going on the inside. Yeah, there we go. I knew I cut that out for a reason. I'll stick that on there later. And then I can put like her date of birth and stuff on the top there. That's what that page will be. But I'll show that on my Instagram if you're interested in seeing that. So sorry that ending was a little bit rambly. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a big old thumbs up and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future videos from me, whether it's baby related or not. Don't forget to follow me on all of my social medias, which is where I put anything that doesn't end up on my channel. If I just craft because I want to, if I make cards for family members and stuff, they tend to go up on there. So if you're interested in seeing that, please follow me over on Instagram. Hope you guys have an absolutely awesome day, whatever you get up to, and I will catch you in my next video. Sending lots of huggles. Bye!